and welcome to IABM TV. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Jonathan Lyth, Technical Director, and Chris Williams, Projects Director from ES Broadcast. Gentlemen, welcome to IABM TV.
Morning.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about ES Broadcast?
ES Broadcast has been running for about 10 years in terms of mainly involved in sales and hire, and they've been doing recently more stuff involved in SI. We've been doing SI originally for about 6 months before we started, deciding that actually it was a successful enough business for us to go into it full time.
Okay.
And we got the keys back at the end of last year for a unit in Peterborough. Jonathan Lyth, I'm from Essex, so we decided to put a unit in the middle. And we have been set up fully running since about February.
Okay. And so can you tell us about that year then, since you've been fully operating like that?
Yeah, so I mean, the real push into SI, as Chris said, started middle of 2017 with some work that we did up in Stoke, which at that point Chris was freelancing for ES. We, off the back of that, it was that thing about transitioning from doing SI to being in SI and having the proper infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So Chris and I have worked together in various guises for the best part of the last 10 years. And at that point, and we knew the guys at ES, and that conversation came around to say, if we're going to do this, how do we need to tackle it? Mm-hmm. So we, at the back end of last year, as Chris said, we found a unit in Peterborough. It's about 10,000 square foot. Okay. So it's a reasonable size. Yep. I mean, obviously, we want to be able to make sure that we're capable of tackling projects, and we can scale up and down without going into a situation where you've got so much overheads that, mm-hmm. with it being projects, yep. in the dips, you're not paying excessive bills to keep the building warm. So when we got into early 2018, we got the keys for the building, and straight away we were into building 12 gig flyways for creative technology. So they decided to invest in some more modular based systems. So there's 3 8 camera capable 12 gig UHD systems for those guys. Plus we did some 3 gig refurb work. So yeah, so whilst we were putting the finishing touches to the building, we were kind of having to segregate the wiring team from the builders to get that going. So we hit the ground running. Is an understatement. Yeah. So I mean, like I say, and what we're hoping to do is, we enjoy solving the problem side of it. I know it's a bit of a cliche because that's what SIs are paid to do. But where we really want to push ourselves is into this, taking it off of people, taking it off tech managers' desks at companies and saying, we'll come down, we can whiteboard this out, and we can take this headache away. Yep. And that's kind of how we're approaching this. That's very much the primary remit from a delivery point of view. So we followed that on from we followed the creative technology on with some work in Belgium for ICF, which is a post-production facility that mm-hmm. works on a lot of the EU on the EU content. That was done as a partnership with audio schemes, who were also involved along with production partner Spectracom on what we did in Stoke for Game Assist last year. Right. That's as someone with 18 years of SI, being able to actually partner in with the production and the physical construction side that we get with audio schemes is actually giving it a nice rounded approach without having to bring everything in house. Yep. Chris's background is more operational than mine, okay. And that's the other thing that we like to push forward, is there are enough systems designed by engineers that operators hate. Right. So by having Chris on board internally, so it's good having the two sides of the the two expertise coming in.
So John gets heavily involved in the technical system type delivery, and I'm more focused on what the operators are going to need in terms of end users, which is something that we're finding more and more is becoming an issue, because as the technology grows, there's a tendency to give the end user more, and that doesn't necessarily stitch in with the best user experience. So what we generally try and do is make sure that we, as wherever we can, we either identify the actual users that are going to be using the end product, or the type of users that are going to be using them. Right. And the difference between those is actual maybe people that are already allocated to do that task or are already doing that task, and due for an expansion they'll switch across to those new installs. Or the other is where we are building a company up from scratch, for example, like we did with GameSys from scratch. We converted them from a small, tiny single studio into a 6,000 square foot 3 studio complex with the help of our partners as well with Spectacom and audio schemes. So at that point we had to make loads of judgments on what type of operator that we would end up having. So from that we ended up producing a system that was actually highly capable, but massively cut down to give the user just an uncomplicated experience, because there's a certain point at which the user just looks at it and is just scared beyond belief, and they will not touch it. So you've got to kind of get that right level. So that's how John and I sort of complement ourselves in terms of how we fit into a project.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so working off the Belgian project, where it was for me, it was great having the ability to deliver, full acoustically treated rooms without having to. Whilst working with somebody that we still have a level of two-way control with, so that was really good. By this point, we're only 8 weeks into the new building, so we're already delivering several projects. And then as we've moved further into the year, we then started to decide, what's the rest of the year going to look like? And so far, we've just completed 2 vision refurbs for Telegenic.
Right.
So that obviously, that's a big win for where we're coming from in our first 4 months to be working with an OB company of that size. So yeah, that was a heart transplant of a router.
Right.
And always, because the fleet's so busy, that was both trucks done in 4 weeks. So. And then looking forward, we're halfway through a build for esports for the States, which, when we looked at how we wanted to strategize our direction as an SI, esports, again, you've got to be careful with the buzzwords, but esports from a pure interest point of view, because fundamentally as technical guys that work in SI, we like to geek out. Mm-hmm. And esports gives us an opportunity to say, well, actually, we the traditional stuff is great, but sometimes you need to push yourself to how we're going to do this differently. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what we're getting at. That's the bit we enjoy. We enjoy being able to go in and fix things, and especially in a new sector where some of the production techniques don't have to follow the traditional models.
Right. Okay.
That's becoming really interesting, how we fix those problems, because as standard, we're talking there's 200 sources on an installation for esports for the one we're doing in the States, and that's that's major event territory. Mm-hmm. It's like taking golf and Wimbledon and putting it at the same time, and that's every Friday and Saturday night for 3 years. So how that production gets put together, again, taking the lead from not what we want to do from a tech point of view, but
and more challenges coming up,
challenges, how do we fix it.
Stitches back to kind of how we like to do stuff as well, which was the reason why we wanted to set ourselves up together, because we kind of, the complement that we have, it's basically the esports is a typical example of what it's a similar sort of stuff to what we were doing with GameSys. It's effectively, we've got brand new types of equipment used for different ways and in different ways, which we're not afraid to embrace, and an operational experience which is working again a different way again. I mean, that's coming from different types of backgrounds to kind of get them into a system to use that again. So it's like the theme is we love to geek out, particularly in the new stuff. We love the new challenges.
If you've got a passion for it, it helps also.
We love it, and working with people, the people that we're working with, the end clients, you get very, very refreshing different angles on very different new clients with different ideas going, wow, we'd never been asked for that before, and it's like, but it doesn't bother us at all. That's quite exciting.
So it's been, you've spoken about sort of 12 months that you guys have done with ES Broadcast, but is it fair to say it's not been an easy 12 months for some other SIs? We have seen some sort of disappear from the marketplace, and what's your thoughts on that?
I think what we're kind of seeing a little bit of a shift in is moving away from the major infrastructures. I mean, obviously there are the key projects that are still in build, but I think with losing some of the bigger brands, Gearhouse choosing to leave, and what happened with TSL, I think our strategy for this is we're focusing on. We don't want to build another mega SI in our first year, which is focusing purely on doing the major infrastructure projects, because it's an unsustainable model. I think that's what we found with what's happened in the last year. That's not to say that we don't have a growth. We're planned for growth, but We're kind of targeting the stuff where at the moment it's about helping guys that have to do this day to day fix problems, and that's where we're targeting for now. It'll be interesting to see, because nothing ever survives too long without change in this industry, to see what happens with the sort of SI landscape over the next 12 months. I think there will be a few changes coming up. We've certainly got an eye on it to see where we fit into the market. But yeah, at the moment, I think we started at IBC last year effectively. You know, it's literally my anniversary, but yesterday. So I think we kind of started with, this time last year was a lot about we're going to do. And then we decided to keep quiet for a year because we wanted to sit down and have these sort of charts and go, well, actually, we've done. Because we have to build confidence in people as a new brand in SI. So hopefully now with what we've just discussed and moving through to between now and NAB, we've already got contracts in place for 4 new trucks for Racetech. Plus there's some other works going on there. That's all got to be completed for early. 3 of the trucks for the 1st of January for their new contracts. So that's what's keeping us out of trouble moving into next year. So.
Well, we'll make sure that we catch up at NAB show and check it's all still going well. Well, Jonathan, Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
You can find out more about all of these things we've spoken about at esbroadcast.com.